We got a lot of requests for my mom's honey lemon chicken, so here it is. Add some olive oil and butter to a large skillet and season some flour with garlic powder, paprika, salt, and pepper. Mix that up and lightly coat chicken tenders or breast in it and add it to your hot oil and butter. My mom likes to add extra black pepper and Hungarian sweet paprika. She actually lived in Hungary for 2 years. When the chicken is brown, take it out, put it in a baking dish. In the same pan, add some chicken stock and honey. Ours is raw, that's why it's a little more solid, and the juice of about 2 lemons. Make sure you don't get any seeds. Add the sauce to the chicken and some lemon slices on top and bake it at about 375 for 15-20 minutes until you're happy with the color. Add some parsley and you're all set. I like to add lots of red pepper flakes and serve it with rice to soak up the sauce. This is definitely a crowd pleaser in my family. Pepe is basically adult mac and cheese. As the name suggests, the only 2 ingredients other than pasta water and salt are cacio, cheese, and pepe, pepper. Crush whole black peppercorns in a pan and save some for later. Grate your pecorino romano cheese, about 4 cups or 300 grams for a whole box of pasta. Heat your water and use less than normal. Spaghetti is traditional, but this makes it more like mac and cheese. Only a little bit of salt because the cheese is very salty. Set your timer for several minutes less than normal. Start toasting your pepper and add some pasta water to it. After about 8 minutes of cooking the pasta, do the same with the cheese and add it little by little. I keep some cheese reserved to get the texture just right. Then reserve a lot of pasta water and drain your pasta several minutes early. Add some pasta water and let it finish cooking in the pan. Once the pasta is cooked al dente, add your cheese mixture and mix. You're gonna forget that cream, butter, and oil even existed. Even though fettuccine alfredo or fettuccine alfredo was actually invented in Italy, most Italians don't know the dish by that name because it was just invented at one restaurant. Instead, they would just call it pasta with parmigiano and butter, the 2 ingredients of the sauce. This is such a simple dish, yet Americans find every way to mess it up, and no, there's no cream. Salt your pasta water, cook your fettuccine for the lower number on the box. The entire sauce is made in a cold pan. Just add your pasta, lots of cheese, butter, and some pasta water. Then you have to mix it for about 2 minutes. It's gonna feel like a really long time, but that's what turns it into a cream sauce. At the restaurant where this was invented, it was actually someone's lifelong career just to do this mixing. He's called Il Mantecatore, and that's it. There's a great YouTube video of the chefs from the original restaurant reacting to everyone's Alfredo recipes. Everyone messes it up. Carla from Bon Appetit comes the closest, but I used their actual recipe, so I hope I did them proud. You do not need a fancy machine just to make homemade pasta. In reality, the best quality pasta is made by Italian grandmas in their rolling pins. It has to do with the texture of the wood. I use a ratio of 80 grams of 00 flour to 1 egg. You can use all-purpose flour, but the texture will be a little different. A huge mistake you can make is not kneading it long enough. You need to knead it for 10 minutes. It's also crucial to let it rest 30 minutes so the flour can hydrate and the gluten can relax. Otherwise, it will spring back when you roll it. A helpful technique is to let it hang from the side of the table so the gravity can kind of stretch it out for you. If you're feeling fancy, you can try what I'm doing here. It helps to have a large rolling pin. This huge sheet of pasta is called a sfoglia in Italian. Here's a cool trick to quickly make a lot of pasta. Roll it up from either end, slice it, then all you have to do is stick your knife underneath the pasta and it will just fall into place. This shape is called tagliatelle. Tagliare means to cut. Get the full recipe with all my tips on how to store it and cook it on my website, link in bio. For tonight's tipsy baking video, otherwise known as a bipsy, I decided to not use a cookbook and instead I used just my intuition. I've already had a gin and tonic today, so I'm just gonna have this on the rocks. I started off with almost a stick of butter, and I measured my vanilla sugar with a ladle. Then I mixed it up. What's that? You want them to donate to Black Lives Matter and sign petitions? Weird how chatty she is. Okay, so then I added 1 egg. If you've never tried this before, I mean, I sure hadn't, I recommend it. You're gonna feel things you've never felt before. I mean, like, this is freedom. I added a 2nd egg normally and mixed it up. I added a scoop of Greek yogurt. It makes baked goods really moist. I usually measure flour to the gram, so this is particularly off-brand. I figured out a really cool way to measure baking soda. Definitely will try again. Baking powder, salt, almond extract, cinnamon, milk, blueberries, and lemon zest. Almonds on top and some more vanilla sugar. Tell me why this is the best thing I've ever made and I will never be able to recreate it. For some reason, I'm craving a black bean burger. I don't see this as a meat substitute. I see it as a delicious way to eat vegetables. I started off sauteing half an onion and a jalapeno. Also, I just kind of made up this recipe as I went, and when I tell you that it was good, it was so good. I added some frozen corn and continued to saute until it felt like the veggies were not raw anymore. Then I added them to a bowl with 1 can of rinsed and drained black beans. I added some panko breadcrumbs and 1 egg. Seasoned with tahini, chicken bouillon, red pepper flakes, black pepper, cumin, paprika, and Old Bay. If you're vegetarian, use veggie bouillon or just salt. Added some cheese, more panko because it was too wet, and then some fresh parsley, and I mixed it up with my hands. I made them into patties and cooked them on a medium-high heat in the same skillet that I sauteed the onions and jalapenos in. Look at that sear. It was so good, I served it with some spicy mayo and enjoyed. It was a great veggie burger. I'm sick of plastic coffee pods. Let's make a traditional, more sustainable, and better cup of joe. A mocha pot has 3 main parts: a base, the metal filter, and the top. Fill it with cold water. Some people even add ice, and don't fill it past that valve. Add in the filter. Add your coffee grounds. The best coffee is locally roasted. Support a coffee shop that you already love. The most important thing is to get the grind right. Tell them it's for a mocha pot, and if they don't know what to do, maybe it's not a great coffee shop. You can smooth it out, but don't press it down. Screw on the top tightly, but not so tightly. Set it on the stove, and it takes just about 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if the top's on or off, I like to watch. Look how rich that coffee is. My dad was a lifelong Keurig person, and then I instantly converted him with this. When it starts to sputter like this, I close the top and let it finish on a lower heat. This would be about 6 espressos in Italy, but my dad and I are known to drink the whole thing. Everyone should know how to make a killer salad dressing, because honestly, the store-bought bottles are really bad for you. Look at the ingredients. It's easiest in a little food processor or a blender, but you can also grate the garlic yourself and whisk it in a bowl. 2 garlic cloves, lots of extra virgin olive oil. Then choose any acid you like. Sometimes I mix them, sometimes I just use lemon juice. It's really up to you. I personally like equal parts acid and olive oil. Most people like a little less acid. You can start with less, taste, and add more if you want. Dijon mustard is the secret to a really good vinaigrette. Even if you're not a big mustard person, trust me on this. Don't forget to season. I put salt, pepper, and some red pepper flakes, but you can add any herbs you like. And blend it up. This is why the food processor is so easy. It makes it super creamy. I could give you all the ratios in the world, but it's really more about tasting it for yourself and seeing what it needs. It can be really good with a drizzle of maple syrup or honey. Also, if you have a little piece of shallot, just stick it in the blender with it, you won't regret it. And that's it, you have dressing for the whole week. Let's make a simple arugula salad. I usually make very elaborate salads, but arugula doesn't need that much to be really good. Starting with a base of arugula and then adding some veggies. I like to use a mandolin to get paper-thin pieces of pepper. They taste totally different when they're cut like this because they don't taste like crunchy water, they actually just taste sweet. I also added some radish and some baby tomatoes. My mom and I have been obsessed with toasted pine nuts on salad. They add a lot of rich butteriness and also a great crunch. They can be pricey, but if you get them from Costco, they're more affordable. This is definitely optional, but a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese really balances everything out and adds a lot of flavor. A homemade vinaigrette is a must. Click the comment for my recipe. It takes 2 minutes to make. It's kind of hard to describe how good this is because I know it just looks like lettuce, but everything is so well balanced, it just tastes really amazing together. I'm gonna make a non-traditional red sauce for pasta. I make it differently every time. This is just today. Start off with a good amount of olive oil. I like a lot of sliced onions. You could dice them or use less. I also added some butter, salt, and a little bit of sugar. After they've cooked down, add some garlic, some tomato paste, some oregano, and red pepper flakes. Mix that up and fry off the tomato paste. Add about a cup of white wine in a can of San Marzano tomatoes. Italians are going to cancel me for this, but I'm actually going to add a little bit of chicken bouillon because it has MSG in it. MSG is actually naturally occurring in a lot of common foods like tomatoes, Parmigiano Reggiano, and soy sauce. It adds savoriness, a certain Jojo Siwa. MSG has actually never been proven to be harmful to our health, and it has a very interesting history. I encourage you to look it up. Simmer about 30 minutes, which gives you plenty of time to read on the Black Lives Matter movement and maybe donate or sign a petition. Mix it in with the sauce, a little bit of olive oil, and you're done. You can make a veggie burger, that's what they're called, out of any canned legume. I'm not even vegetarian, I just think they taste really good. Cut up some veg. I'm using half an onion, a jalapeno, and some bell pepper. I'm gonna saute them with some salt and then add in a can of chickpeas. You can season with anything you want. I use sazon Goya and za'atar. I put it in a bowl, added some garlic powder, red chili flake, and more salt. I started mashing them, and then I added a drizzle of olive oil because Trader Joe's chickpeas are just less soft than other brands. And then I added some tahini and an egg to bind it, and then I started mixing it, and then I added some panko breadcrumbs until they would stick together. While they were cooking, I signed a petition for Black Lives Matter, and then when they were crispy, I flipped. I made a yogurt sauce with Greek yogurt, garlic, salt, lemon, a little bit of olive oil, and some parsley, and then I served them up. They were amazing, and you can use any seasonings you like. This is a non-traditional pesto, kind of just using what I had on hand. If you want to see my authentic version, click the comment. Either way, they're both delicious. I'm using Parmigiano Reggiano and Pecorino Romano cheese. You don't even need to grate it yourself. I think the Pecorino Romano is the most important ingredient, other than the basil, of course, to make an outstanding pesto. I'm toasting pine nuts and walnuts. You could also use sunflower seeds if you're allergic. Almonds and pistachios are great too. It's good to add a couple cloves of garlic now. You'll see that I forgot and added them later. I added a bunch of basil and also a lot of parsley because I had to use it up. Throw in any greens you need to use up. You could use kale, even carrot tops. There's no lemon in traditional pesto. I did add it this time, didn't really make a difference. Add lots of good olive oil and blend it up. Beautiful. Cook your pasta in heavily salted boiling water, and then don't forget to reserve some of the cooking water. Mix it up with a splash of that water, and don't forget to check out the traditional version if you want to see the difference. When I was an au pair in Spain, we had these for breakfast every Sunday. Measure 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of water that's cloudy from the milk. Add 2 tablespoons of butter, some salt, and some sugar. Once the butter's melted, add in your flour and mix it up. Let it cool, then add 1 egg and 1 yolk and mix that up. It looks like it won't mix at first, and then it does. Start heating your frying oil, and then add your dough to a pastry bag with a star tip. Add a cup of milk in another saucepan, some chocolate. I'm using unsweetened, so I used extra sugar. When the oil is hot, you can start piping out your churros, or churros as they say. I'm not gonna lie, the dough is very thick, and it's not the easiest thing to pipe, but just power through. To finish the chocolate sauce, mix some cornstarch and milk, bring that to a boil. It will all of a sudden come together and look like pudding. Add a little bit of cayenne if you're so inclined, some vanilla and some salt, and you're ready to go. In Spain, they're usually just topped with sugar, but if you like it with cinnamon, go for it. It's great either way. Let's make some soy marinated salmon. I like to grill it, but you can also roast it in the oven. Combine half a cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of chili garlic paste. You could put more or less if you don't like spicy or you like a lot, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. It really helps balance everything out, and it kind of caramelizes the sauce. Give it a little mix and then pour it over your salmon fillets. Let this sit in the fridge, covered, at least 2 hours, up to 24. Before cooking, make sure the marinade gets everywhere. If you're not grilling, roast in the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 to 15 minutes. It can even roast in the marinade. If you're feeling brave, you could drizzle a little bit more of the marinade on top, but try not to let it drip too much. We cook them to about medium without flipping. It takes about 8 minutes, but we go by color, not by time. To finish, I sprinkle on some sesame seeds, drizzle on some sesame oil, and squeeze some lime. This is black pepper candied bacon, otherwise known as bacon crack. Like crack, it can kill you if you have too much, so I recommend only having it on special occasions. Line a half sheet pan with foil and put an oven-safe wire rack on top. Add your bacon. I go for a thick cut, uncured bacon. Sprinkle with brown sugar. If some falls through, you can just kind of pick it up and put it on more bacon. Give the sugar a little pat if you want. You can't really mess this up. Liberally season with freshly ground black pepper. No, you cannot use pre-ground. That tastes like sawdust. Otherwise, get creative with the seasonings. 375 degree oven. It could take 20 to 30 minutes. Halfway through, I like to flip them and season the other side. Even without the brown sugar and black pepper, this is just an easier way to make bacon. Keep in mind that bacon crisps up as it cools, so I go by the color, not how it feels in the pan. Get the full written recipe on my website, After School Bakery. Here's another tipsy baking video, or as my dad calls, a bipsy. So I'm starting off with some gin, and then I'm adding some ginger beer. Then I added some mango nectar and some fresh orange juice. It was super good, but while I was enjoying it, I decided to write down a couple ways that I supported the Black Lives Matter movement today, and a couple ways I will support it tomorrow. If you're a non-black ally, I encourage you to do something similar. Then I added a hunk of butter to my pan, and I started browning it. Added some salt to my Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I greased a 9 by 13 inch pan with some of that butter, and then once the butter was browned, I added about a pack and a half of marshmallows. When that was all melted, I added in my Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and then a little bit more marshmallows that I wanted to stay whole. And then I folded everything in and pressed it down. Added some flaky salt and let it cool. Can you tell me again why people make these with Rice Krispies instead of Cinnamon Toast Crunch? It's so much better. Today we're making cream puffs. It's easier than you little residue forms on the bottom. Then we're gonna mix in 4 to 5 eggs. Depending on the size of the eggs, you might need 4, you might need 4.5, you might need 5, but you need to get this texture where it hangs like a V. That's how you know it's right. Then you pipe it onto a tray. I like to line it with a Silpat. Use a wet finger to press down the tips so they don't burn, and then bake. Remember, all the temperatures and cook times are on my website. You have to make your own whipped cream. You probably need the exercise anyway. Click the comment for my recipe. In the video where I show you how to make the whipped cream, it actually falls on my head. I prefer cutting the cream puffs in half to fill them. I think it looks more dramatic than if you just stick the nozzle inside. You probably already have all the ingredients, so get to it. Let's make white bean hummus. I'm not trying to be authentic. This is just using a can of beans to nourish me. Drain and rinse your beans. Add a couple tablespoons of tahini. I ended up using about a lemon and a half. Sazon is definitely not Middle Eastern, but it's like paprika, cumin, and salt, and I like the flavor. I like a lot of cumin, so I added more. And some olive oil. Again, you can use any seasonings you want. Then I just pureed it in the food processor. I tasted it, added more salt and a couple tablespoons of water so it would be extra smooth. And then I served it with extra olive oil, za'atar, and paprika. For tonight's tipsy baking video, which my dad calls a bipsy, today we are making a dark and stormy. It's one of my favorite cocktails. You start with dark rum, and then you add ginger beer, which is like strong ginger ale, some lime, and that's it. This isn't part of the recipe, but I added some more Bacardi. For these banana bread muffins, go to my website for the full recipe, After School Bakery, because I want to talk to you guys. I have a bone to pick. Why is it when I post a video with my mom, everyone comments, "Oh, she's so pretty. Oh, she's so gorgeous." Excuse me, where's that energy for me? I have the same exact beauty, I'm just the newer model. I'm hereby requesting a more affirming comment section. In the words of our first lady, be best. Say no to bullying. Because of this, I have decided to curse you all with overcooked pasta for the next 10 years, unless you follow me on Instagram. If I were you, I would not take the risk. Anyway, these were bomb. Don't forget to get the recipe on my website.